Hello everyone, welcome back to my class, that is Sahitya Abhyasa Academy. In the first part of 100 MCQs on Plato, we have seen 1 to 25 MCQs on Plato. Today shall see the continuation part of MCQs from the 26th question. Yes. S. In the Republic, Plato uses which metaphor? Very nice. To describe philosophers' role in the society. Yes. What is the metaphor has been utilized in his work called Republic about the role in society? Shepherd, ship's captain, gardener, or a porter. That is ship's captain. Yes, here we can see the most qualified kind of a captain ignored by the ignorant crew. So he compared the state of ship and philosophers. The most qualified captains. Getting my point? So here we can see the philosopher's role in a society. Which metaphor he used means that is ship's captain. Don't forget. Such question can be seen in the competitive exam. Fine. Which famous statement is attributed to Socrates? Yeah, in Plato. Man is a measure for all things. I know that. I know nothing. Might mix, right? Eat, drink, and be merry. Very nice. Which statements attribute to the Socrates? Which one? I know that I know nothing. Very nice. We can see several dialogues. Socrates claims his wisdom lies in knowing in his own ignorance. We can see the dialogues of several dialogues of Socrates. What it claims? In a Socrates dialogues, what it claims? His wisdom lies. Wisdom, lies in knowing his own ignorance. Very nice. Once we know what we have known the things, we couldn't tell I know everything. Instead that I know that I know nothing. Very famous quote statement. As we can see, this statement means which famous statement in attribute to the Socrates, that is I know that I know nothing. How much a person follow this thing, definitely he will become a great philosopher in the society. Yes, fine. Plato's Gorgias primarily explores about, that is the nature and the ethics of rhetoric. Very nice. The nature and the ethics of rhetoric. It means Socrates debates. Am I right? Debates whether rhetoric is a true art, or flattery. Getting my point? So nature and ethics of rhetoric. Whatever, see, king should keep the advisor around him. King should keep advisor around him. Instead, keeping the flattery one. This is what Plato's word. So here we can see the Plato's Gorgians. Am I right? Gorgias primarily explores the nature and the ethics of rhetoric. Very nice. In the Republic, what does Plato proposes about the family among the guardian class? Family among the guardian class. What is that? That is, it should be sacred and private. It should be communal. No private families. It should be abolished altogether, or it should be polygamous. Yes. According to him, he says it should be communal. No private families. Yes. The Republic. What does Plato proposes about the family thing means it should be communal, no private families, because he argues that communal families among the guardians to prevent nepotism and conflict of interest. It prevents the nepotism and conflict of interest. So we should follow it should be communal, no private families. Very nice. That is from the Republic. What is Plato's attitude towards the poet in his ideal state? So here we can see the uh, Thomas More's Utopia work, how he put his own words to make the fictitious land in an ideal society. So like that, according to Plato, his attitude, his words towards on poets in his ideal society, what he put the condition or a places of poets in his ideal society means they should be honored above all. No, they should be carefully censored or expelled, yes, somewhere, and they should govern alongside and philosophers. They should educate children. Yes, what is that? The 30th answer is B. It said expelled, banned, because they won't spread truth, they won't spread universal truth, they won't express the reality. Instead that their work is copy of copy. So such kind of a poet should not be in my ideal state. Fine. That is what Plato's attitude towards the poets in his ideal society. Fine. Which work of Plato presents his views on the afterlife and judgment of a souls? Very nice. In which work we can see the works of Plato which presents his views, that is on afterlife and judgment of his souls? The answer is Pedio. Pedo. What is that? Here we can see the discussion of immortality of the soul. Yes, not mortal, it is about the immortality. There is no any death on the soul. Body will die, but soul will remains eternal. And the soul's fate. Soul and soul's fate after the death. Okay, so here we can see it presents the views on the afterlife and the judgment after soul. Afterlife, what would be the condition of a person, and the judgment of a soul. Soul will remain immortality of the soul and the soul's fate after the death. That is, we can see this thing in a Phaedo. Am I right? Phaedo. Answer is Phaedo. Fine. In Plato's tripartite, yes, theory of the state, auxiliaries corresponded to which part of the soul? Exactly. That is spirited. Rational, spirited, appetite, or divine. So here we can see auxiliaries corresponded to which part of the soul? That is spirited. Spirited means this one. Yes, spirited means auxiliaries. Auxiliaries means soldiers. What would be the soldiers? It embody the spirited element. Soldier means courage and honor. So we can see the three-party theory of the state. Auxiliary stands for the courage and honor. Plato's criticism of democracy stems mainly from his belief that Plato's criticism of democracy, what he has given the words on democracy, mainly according to his belief on democracy, that is, it lacks individual freedom. Is it? It places power in the hands of the ignorant masses. It encourages aristocracy. It relies too much on philosopher. What is that? The answer is B. It places power in the hands of the ignorant masses. Very nice. So here we can see the Plato's feared the unqualified citizen would elect dangerous and dangerous, leading to instability. Yes, we also do in our during election. No, a person has have the knowledge about to who is going to be selected. He is going to select a right one. If that politician will provide any kind of a food money to them, then means we are going to select them. That shouldn't be happen. Yes, in the democratic. So according to him, he criticized on democracy because their power in the hands of the ignorant masses. So this we have seen such things in a film and movies, in reality also. Fine. The allegory of the cave. See, again allegory of the cave, a kind of a enlightenment thing to the people. Yes. What does the shadow on the wall represent? Very nice. The forms, opinions and the illusion of the senses, mathematical truths or the sun. Very good. What is that? The answer is opinions. Answer is opinions and the illusion of the senses. When they stay in a cave, here the fire is burning, here the people standing. We can see the shadow of the person can be lies in a wall. Yes, they think this is reality when they are in a cave. But when one of person came out from that cave and he absorbed the sun and the lights from the sun, and he realized this is the only shadow and it is a illusion, not a truth. The truth is sun. So this is what we can see, the opinions and illusion of the sense through the shadow. The shadow concept can be seen in the allegory of the cave. Okay, the answer is opinions and the illusion of the senses. What did Plato mean by saying philosophers have seen the form of the good? Definitely. They have experienced the ultimate pleasure. They have gained knowledge of ultimate reality. It could be, and they have mastered rhetoric and they have practiced religious rituals. What is that? The answer is B, definitely. They have gained the knowledge of ultimate reality. Being a king, being a philosopher should have the knowledge of form of a good, form of a theory. Form of a theories means then only he become a good philosopher. Then only he can lead his state. Then only his states can become an ideal one. This is what the Plato's mean by saying the philosopher have seen in the form of the good. The answer is they have gained knowledge of ultimate reality. See, if you watch my video about the Plato's biography and his work, definitely you will be able to answer these are the questions. Yes, because these are the things I have explained in that video in a detailed way. And which dialogue contains Plato's discussion of recollections? Very nice. Recollections. Plato's discussion of recollection, it is a term anamnesis. Anamnesis. What it means? Meno, loss, kritas, euthydemous. What is that? That is Meno. Which dialogue of contains Plato's discussion of recollections? It is in the work of Meno. What it tells? Socrates demonstrate learning as a recollection. Yes, learning, it is a thing which recollects the recollection by questioning. A slave boy on geometry. What it exact meaning means? Meno means it is a work where we can see the dialogue about the Plato's discussion of recollection. So by the learning we can recollect the many more questions answer. Okay, fine. Next, according to Plato, what ensures harmony in the state? What is the meaning of what it exact reflect the harmony in the state? Equality of wealth, equality participation in politics, each class performs its own role, or a popular election. What is that? Each class performing its own role. Yes, that is justice, no? According to Plato. Yes. Furthermore, explanation means justice achieved. That is only achieved when rulers, auxiliaries, and producers, three classes of society, producers, each fulfill their each fulfill their natural duties. Natural duties means if he is a king, should follow his theory of forms. If he is a soldier, should follow his theory of forms. If he is a farmer or artist, should follow his theory of forms. Theory of form means way of leading should be truth. Should follow the reality. This is what we can see, each class performing its own role. If a class follow its own rule means definitely that state will be become as an ideal state according to Plato. Okay, now each class is performing its own. Plato believed knowledge gained through the senses. Is it? Knowledge gained through the senses. See, if a blind person is there, he cannot see everyone, but the touch of sense, he can identify that person. Because if a god snaps something means he can give a kind of a marvelous thing in his personality. So that is what mainly on we can see the senses works is very active in the blind people. Yes. So here, so knowledge gained through the which sense? The highest form of knowledge, the reliable for discovering eternal truths. Yes, inferior to intellectual reasoning, necessary for philosophy. What is that? The answer is C. Inferior. What is that? Inferior of intellectual reasoning. How he justified? Sensory knowledge changes and deceives reason access eternal forms. Very nice. Inferior to intellectual reasoning. If you wrote something on a thing means you only express the outer thing of that thing. No, go beyond that thing. That is what you will meet to the intellectual reasoning by the inferior. Means writing about chair is not a intellectual thing. The chair is made up of a tree. The tree is a truth, reality. That is intellectual reasoning. Finding out the intellectual reasoning. This is how we can see the inferior to intellectual reasoning. That is from knowledge can be gained by the inferior to intellectual reasoning. Yes. Next. Who accused Socrates, leading to his trial as they depicted in Apology? What kind of accused? Aristophanes. Who accused? Aristophanes, Meletus, Antaeus and Lycon, Critas and Gorgias. The answer is Metus. Meletus, Anytus and Lycon. They brought the formal charges against Socrates. Formal charges, these three persons called Meletus, Anytus and Lycon. They brought the formal charges against Socrates for, what is that? Corrupting the youth and impiety. So this is why They accused on Socrates. Fine. Which concept is central to Plato's ethics? What is the central concept of Plato's ethics? Pleasure is as the highest good, the harmony of the soul, wealth as a measure of virtue, obedience to the gods alone. What is that? The answer is harmony. Harmony of the soul. Yes. What kind of a harmony of the soul? For Plato, moral virtue. What is that? Moral virtue is the harmonious. Yes, we should have the morality in our personality now. What is good? What is bad? That makes to become a harmonious person. Means you can see the harmony means having a goodness. Make your soul goodness by keeping your harmonious qualities with the all people. Yes, and balanced rational. If someone said to you means you should not react on the spot. Should have that balance. Whether he is saying the things are right or good. Should know that thing. Balanced your rational and spirited. Think about the honor and respect. Appetite elements. So once the person follows these things means we can see such concept. The central part of the Plato's ethic is that harmony of the soul. Fine. Plato's critics is known for discussing on which thing? The trial of the Socrates, the ideal state education, the theory of Atlantic, the immortality of the soul. What is that? That is the story of Atlantis. The story of Atlantis. What it tells? See, there is a work, Critias. Critias elaborates on the legend of what is that? Legend of Atlantis and its downfall. That is Plato's critics. It is critics express about making a discussion on elaborates on the legend of Atlantis and its downfall. Answer is the theory of Atlantis. Which statement best describe Plato's metaphysics? Which is that best dialogues in Plato's metaphysics? That is, reality is eternal material. Reality is composed of changing elements. Reality is divided into the world senses and the world of immutable forms. Time is the only reality. Very nice. What is that? Reality is divided into the world of senses and the world of immutable forms. How much you grasp the knowledge by using your senses. Not only if someone says means don't follow, not by following that words, more than utilize your senses on knowing what the exact thing is telling. That is what called the reality is divided into the world of senses and the world of immutable forms. That is only. Means here we can see another explanation about this work means what it tells. It is distinguish the changing material world from the eternal realms of forms. Yes, that's the only. Means by the senses you need to find out the eternal truth. Fine. That is, reality is divided into the world of senses and the world of immutable forms. What is next? In Plato's hierarchy of knowledge, mathematics reasoning is higher than the belief but lower than the dialectic understanding of a forms about knowledge and the reasoning, mathematical reasoning. The lowest form of knowledge, identical to knowledge of forms, merely opinion. What is that? The answer is higher than the belief. Plato's hierarchy of knowledge is higher than the belief but lower than the dialectic understanding of forms. Once we know the reality, universal truth, which meets to the knowledge. What is 44th question? Which of these is an example Plato uses for the divided line analogy? Divided line analogy, that is ships and sailor. I think this one. Cave prisoners, images, physical objects, mathematical object, and a forms chariot with the two horse. What is the example? Which of these an example Plato uses for the divided line analogy? That is C. Images, physical objects, mathematical object, and the form. How it is? Let's little discussion on this, explanation on this. Here we can see physical means the divided class classifies the divided line classifies label form images lowest to highest. This is what called the Plato's divide line, means it goes from lowest to highest. The image of formation means classification of image goes from lowest to highest. That is what called the divided line on analogy. Next, the answer is this one, no? Yes. Who was Plato's most famous student? Plato's most student, definitely Aristotle. Because he studied 20 years in his school, that is academia. Which dialogue recorded Socrates' the final moment and his death? Which dialogue records Socrates' final moments and the death? In Republic, Phaedo, Crito, Gorgias. Which one? That is Phaedo. What is in that Phaedo means? It narrates Socrates' last hour and philosophical discussion before drinking hemlock. So this is how we can see the which dialogues record Socrates' final moment and his death. That is Phaedo's dialogue, where we can see the Socrates' last hour and philosopher discussion before the drink hemlock. Fine. What is that next? 47th one. Plato's belief that the ruler should be the selected by the merit and the education leads to which concept? Very nice. Plato's belief that ruler should be selected by the merit. Rulers, kings, philosophers selected by the merit should have the reality, knowledge, truth, knowledge, and educated leads to which concept? Democracy, meritocracy, democracy, oligarchy. Very nice. The answer is Meritocracy. How it? Meritocracy. Let's have a small discussion on this. Meritocracy is nothing but Plato supported the rule by the most qualified one. Just I told you, no? Just qualified one, and based on, what is that? Based on intellectual and moral existence. Intellectual should follow the theory of forms. That is what we can see, in the concept of meritocracy. 48.1. Plato often used myths, like the myths of air, to entertain children, illustrate philosophical truths symbolically, argue against metaphysics, phrase poetry. 41 is which one? That is illustrate philosophical truths symbolically. Yes. According to myths, what it gives, what it definition of this Plato's myths? Illustrate philosophical truths symbolically. Furthermore, example, he used myths for what reason? To convey complex ideas in an accessible way. Yes. If sometimes I give the example of such thing, means it shows the utilization of the myths in his words, in their explanation. Why? Because it conveys the complex ideas in a easy way, accessible way. Easy way means accessible means understandable way. For that reason we call myths is for illustrate the philosophical truths symbolically. Symbolically utilizing the, a kind of a examples like. According to Plato, how is love related to philosophy? Love distract from truth, is it? Love is desire to possess beauty eternally, leading the soul toward the forms. Love is only physical attraction. Love is irrelevant to philosophy. Yes, very nice. So what is that? According to Plato, love is related to which philosophy? Related to philosophy. The thing is that love is a desire to possess the beauty eternally. Love, passion, leading the soul toward the forms, reaching to the universal truth. That is theory of forms. Fine. The last point, last question of this session. In Plato's view, which is the greatest threat? In Plato's view, which is the greatest threat to a state? The ambition of a philosopher, division caused by the conflicting interest, the spread of mathematical knowledge, strict censorship. What is that? The last one is that B. Division caused by the conflicting interest. How? Plato argued that unity was essential, definitely. Yes, for every successful work, there must be unity. It is very essential. Each class must perform its role for harmony. Yes, very nice. How the king, soldiers and producers, they should perform their own harmony. If this goes proper way, means we can see the ideal society. If these do not go in a proper way means we can see division caused by the conflicting interest. Okay now, so this is about the MCQs on 50 MCQs on Plato. Shall see in a next video 50 MCQs. Till hope so it will help you Um, I may tell in a very slow way, in a giving the example, but if you have patience to listen my video, definitely you will understand each and questions answer in a proper explanation way too. Anyways, all the best for your future. Thank you for watching this video.